Hello friends, welcome you all. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss the mutual fund and investment regulations which is given by the Sebi. We are also going to discuss the Sebi guidelines. What is Sebi? Sebi is Security and Exchange Board of India, that is the capital market regulator in India, and it also regulates the mutual fund also, because mutual fund also come in the capital market. Some mutual funds come under the Reserve Bank of India monitoring, because they invest in the money market. But if we take the mutual funds capital market segment, then SEBI is the regulator of the mutual fund. AMFI is also the what is AMFI? AMFI is Association of Mutual Fund in India. It works under the SEBI, and SEBI introduces the different regulations and guidelines for mutual funds and investors also. So in the previous lecture we have discussed about what is mutual fund. Mutual fund, in a simple word, is a company that pulls money from many investors and invest in money market securities, stocks, bonds, short-term debts, etc. And whatever the returns generated by this mutual funds company distributed according to the unit purchased by these mutual fund investor. What is unit? Unit is the instrument which is used instead of shares, like we consider shares when we invest in stock market. Like that, if we invest in the mutual fund, then we get the units. So in a formal definition, we can say that a mutual fund is a professionally managed investment scheme, usually run by an asset management company, and that brings together a group of people and invest their money in stocks, bonds, and other securities. So in a simple word, mutual fund is a asset management company which introduces some kind of scheme, and many investors invest in that particular scheme. The scheme has predetermined goals, investment objectives. For example, if it is equity fund, then it invest in the stock market. If it is sector fund, then that particular scheme invest in particular sector. So this is the basic idea of mutual fund. Now we have to discuss in this lecture the different regulations and guidelines given by the SEBI. SEBI is Security and Exchange Board of India, already we have discussed, and it is established on April 12, 1992 in accordance with the provision of the Securities and Exchange Board of India Act 1992. The preamble of the Security and Exchange Board of India describes the basic function of the Securities and Exchange Board of India as the main motto or main objective of establishment of SEBI is to protect the interest of investors in securities and to promote the development of and regulate the securities market, and for the matter connected related to that. So prime motto of SEBI is it works for the protection of investors interest in the securities while regulating and promoting the security market. The organization has created guidelines for investors to gain awareness regarding the manner in which mutual fund function by offering the required information. So SEBI gives the guidelines about the awareness and manner in which mutual fund should function, and the manner in which the mutual funds offer the required information for the investors. The regulator, that is SEBI, aims to simplify the wide variety of schemes that tend to confuse investors due to their complexity. What happened recently, many schemes and many funds introduced by mutual fund companies, and these mutual so the complexity of different schemes, variety of schemes confused investors, and this confusion should simplify. So the SEBI aims to simplify the wide variety of schemes by reducing the number of schemes or merging scheme with other schemes. The guidelines regarding the consolidation and mergers of mutual fund schemes are created in an effort to make it easier for investors to compare different schemes made available by mutual fund companies. Now let us discuss the guidelines regarding structure of mutual fund. The guidelines regarding the structure of schemes define a guarantor as someone who introduces a mutual fund. So structure of mutual fund is introduced for guarantor. Who is guarantor? Guarantor is the someone who introduces mutual fund or start mutual fund. The guarantor's role is to generate revenue through the launch of a mutual fund. The fund is then handed to a fund manager. So every fund or mutual fund have a fund manager who manages the overall investment. Manages means it take the decision where to invest the mutual fund revenue generated by a particular scheme or mutual fund. And guarantor role is to introduce or launch a mutual fund scheme and generate a revenue by from investors. Sponsor means suppose a sponsor is a particular company. For example, if we take the SBI mutual fund, then State Bank of India is the sponsor of SBI mutual fund, right? So sponsors primarily have the role of listing the schemes with the Securities and Exchange Board of India. So every mutual fund have to take the permission approval of the SEBI and AMFI. Here sponsor have to list and register mutual fund with the Security and Exchange Board of India. The Security and Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI, is wholly responsible for making policies related to mutual fund. So SEBI is the topmost responsible person which introduces, make the policies and guidelines, rules, regulation, etc. related to the mutual fund. SEBI has also the responsibility of regulating the industry and laying down the law so that investors' interest is safeguarded. See, here the main motto or main purpose of the SEBI is to protect the interest of investors. So here the SEBI has the responsibility of regulating this mutual fund industry by laying down the laws and rules, regulations, so that investors' interest is safeguarded, or there will not be anything against the interest of investors. So investor is the central person, and all other things are periphery. Means investors interest is main things, that is the SEBI consider. Asset allocation and investment strategy are concerned, mutual funds can be very different from one another. So mutual funds are different. It is according to the asset allocation. What is that asset allocation? Asset allocation means distribution of different investment. For example, if equity fund is there, then different sectors or different stocks shares chosen for the investment. Or if it is hybrid fund, then some asset that is the investment of investor is invested in the debt market, that is investment in debt, and some asset is in the stock market. So according to the investment goal or objective, which are predetermined by the mutual fund company or mutual fund scheme, asset allocation happens there. A second thing is investment strategy. So different schemes have different investment strategy, different funds have different investment strategy. So according to different asset allocation, different investment strategy, mutual funds can be very different from one another. The new guidelines have focused on uniformity so far as the functioning of scheme is concerned. So here SEBI is providing new guidelines to focus uniformity, because there is confusion, so many schemes, so many funds are there. So here SEBI is trying to do is to bring the uniformity among the different scheme and different funds. So investor will therefore find it easier to make investment decisions, to make things standard, and to introduce uniformity in schemes that are similar to one another. So investors should not be confused here. So SEBI is trying to bring standardness in the schemes and different type of funds to introduce uniformity among these schemes. So there are categories created by the SEBI, that is equity funds. Equity funds, we have done this in the mutual fund business in India paper, types of funds or type of schemes. You can revisit that video on this same channel. So equity funds primarily invest in stock market. Debt funds invest in debentures and debt market. Then balance or hybrid fund, which makes the balance of equity funds and debt funds. Means some investment is in the equity market and some in the debt market. So here balance is made through investment in different sectors, that is equity, debt, and other sectors maybe. So next is solution oriented fund. Solution oriented fund is new category. And other funds, so many funds are there: sector fund, small cap, large cap. Then so there are different type of categories. We have discussed these types of fund or type of schemes in different video, separate video. I have created 2 videos are there on the same channel. You can visit that videos also. Now, what are the major highlights of SEBI regulations for investment in mutual funds? So there are 5 categories made by the SEBI, that is equity, debt, balance, solution oriented, and other type of funds. A definition of small, mid cap, and large cap have been made clearer to facilitate uniformity. So here SEBI makes the 3 clear definitions, 3 clear categories of schemes, that is small cap fund. Small cap fund means it invests in the small cap companies, small cap shares. Small cap means how a market cap means capitalization, What is capitalization? Capitalization is the number of shares into market price. Means if suppose a company have 10 shares and each shares have 100 rupees market price, then the market capital of that particular company is 1000 rupees. So like that. So according to the capital, market capitalization, number of shares into price, market price of that particular share is the total market capitalization of that company. So according to the capital, here category is created: small cap, mid cap and large cap. Next is solution oriented funds comes with a lock-in period. Here if you want to invest in solution oriented schemes, then particular lock-in period is there. You cannot withdraw that investment till the maturity of the particular period defined in the scheme. Only one scheme is permitted in each category apart from the ETF. Means only one scheme is permitted in each category, that is small, mid, large, etc. To make it clear, or the prime motto here is, prime aim of Sebi is here, investors should not be confused about the different type of schemes. So only one category is permitted in each category, that is small, mid cap, that is large cap, equity, debt, balance. Apart from means uh, other than ETF. What is ETF? ETF means exchange traded fund, which is traded on the exchange or on the stock exchanges. Second is index fund. Index fund means which is depend on the index, that is Nifty, the Sensex, then Bank Nifty is there, different IT index is there. So here index fund is depend on the index, which is invest in the overall index. Thematic or sectoral funds are there, and funds of funds are there. Apart from these categories, only one scheme is permitted in each category. Next is, apart from laying down the law, the Security and Exchange Board of India has also created guidelines for the investors. So Sebi not only created guidelines for the mutual funds, but it creates guidelines for the investors also. So let us discuss what are the guidelines given by the Sebi for investors. First thing is assessing personal finances. The number one thing is, investors should assess their personal finance, and according to that it should take the decision of investment. Mutual funds are highly diverse investment option. As a result, they carry some risk with them. Investors are urged to be clear when they assess their financial standing. So investors should get the idea of risk involved in the mutual fund investment, and according to that they should take the decision of investment. They are also asked to be careful when assessing their ability to bear risk in case a scheme does not perform as expected. Means if investor invest in a particular scheme, and expectation of return is higher, but in that particular scheme is not perform as expected, then what risk investor have to bear, it should be careful about it. That is, it should expect some kind of risk if it underperforms or not perform according to the investor's expectation. The risk appetite of investor must be considered individually in keeping with each scheme. So what is the risk appetite? What till what extent it can bear the risk if it underperforms? So risk appetite of investor is must be considered here while investing. Second thing is research information regarding scheme. Very important thing, the very important guidelines given by Sebi. Investor always should research, or it should gather information regarding the scheme, where this particular scheme is going to invest, what is the risk involved in that, what are the how much returns it can generate, what is the time period of investment, what are the objective goals of investment. So all these things, and what is the repetition, what is the history of return generated by this company. So all the information, data, comparison of that particular scheme with other schemes, all information investors should gather, and some kind of research is needed before investing in the mutual fund. So SEBI suggests that the investor should research information regarding schemes before making investment in mutual fund. So it is essential for investor to attain detailed information regarding the scheme in which they wish to invest, and equipping yourself with all the details regarding your investment option will make it easy to make the right decision for investment. Next guideline given by the SEBI is diversification of portfolios. What is diversification? Diversification means keeping your investing in different type of assets, or different type of instruments. Because suppose one instrument fails to generate investment, or one sector or one type of asset fails to generate return for investors, then other sector can perform well, and overall average return will get to the investors. So risk minimization can happen, or investor can mitigate risk by diversification of the portfolios. Investors can spread their investment carefully by diversifying their portfolio. As a result, the potential to mitigate risk or maximize profit of potentially major losses increases. So diversification of portfolio is instrumental in gaining sustainable long-term financial good results, we can say. So diversification of portfolios do not keep all eggs in the same basket. So keeping all the number of eggs in the different baskets, so that is the, do not put all mangoes in the one basket. So like that, diversification should be there. Your investment should be in the different types of asset. Next guideline of SEBI is for investor: refrain from cluttering portfolios. What is cluttering? Cluttering means generally, if we do not gather information, or we do not take investment decision carefully, then what happens? It ends up with a cluttered portfolio. What is cluttered portfolio? Cluttered portfolio that usually consists of duplicate investment, or it underperforms funds, or it is a suboptimal asset mix. So here some kind of divert from the investment objectives happen. So it is called cluttering portfolio. So to select the right fund to create a portfolio needs professional management of the scheme in addition to careful monitoring. Investors should ensure that their portfolio is not cluttered while choosing the number of schemes to add to their portfolio. in order to ensure that the schemes can be well managed individually as well as collectively. Next is assign time frames. Investors are advised to ensure that a time frame is assigned to each schemes in order to ensure that the plan grows. If there is stability in the maintenance of the schemes, market fluctuations and volatility can be curbed significantly. So time frame is important for the investment. Generally in the short time period of in the short term period, uh, investment may not provide good return, but in the long time of period it can generate higher return. So time period, and according to the investment objectives, investor should assign time frames to its investment, and it should study the different schemes according to their time frames, investment objective, and then only it should invest in the schemes or particular fund. Now, what is the effect of this new categorization of investors or schemes introduced by the Sebi? Investors will be affected by the new categorization in the such a way the number of schemes available may be lower, thus making it relatively easier for investors to make a selection. Means here confusion is there, that so many schemes, so many funds are there in the market by different companies, by different mutual fund companies. So here Sebi want to bring uniformity, the lower number of schemes, and confusion should not be there. So Sebi is trying for that. So the effect of new categorization on investor is the number of schemes available may be lower in the future, thus making it relatively easier for investors to make a selection without confusion. Next is some schemes may be merged with the other schemes. Some schemes, maybe similar type of schemes can be merged with others to bring uniformity and make less confusion for the investors. The expense ratio of investors could decline because of the higher asset under management per scheme. As investment under management increases, the expense ratio may be come down for the investment, because the gain of expansion, that is the external economies of scale can be created, as we have studied in the economics, that as we expand the production we get the economies of scale, some kind of benefits. And finally, experts suggest that the latest guidelines regarding the mergers and consolidation of schemes will essentially simplify things for investors when it comes to comparing and investing in the numerous schemes made available by fund houses. Uh, Experts suggest that the mutual fund industry and capital market experts suggest that the consolidation of schemes will happen in because of the SEBI guidelines, essentially simplify things for investors when it comes to comparing and investing in the different type of schemes made available by the fund houses or different types of companies. The guidelines are also expected to reduce clutter while introducing uniformity, thereby making it easy for individuals across the country to invest in the mutual funds. What is clutter? Cluttering of mutual fund or cluttering of scheme means providing something, some kind of investment which is not according to the financial goals of investors, or it consists of duplicate of investments, underperforming funds, or suboptimal asset type of mix. So cluttering will reduce by these guidelines given by SEBI. So these guidelines are also expected to reduce cluttering while introducing uniformity, thereby making it easy for individual across the country to invest in the mutual funds. So friends, that is in this today's lecture. If you have any doubt, queries, questions, then you can contact me, you can write me, you can text message, you can call me. You are always welcome. Write your name in the comment box so that I get the presentee of the students. If you have any query, then you can ask me anytime. Contact given in the first slide. And thanks for watching. See you in the next lecture, and I will come with next topic in the next video, next lecture. Thanks for watching. See you.